Have you ever stopped to think about what a hug really means? It's not just arms wrapping around another body. It's an unspoken language, a moment of raw connection. And how you respond to a hug, especially from a woman you care about, can say more than words ever could. Respond to a hug with stillness. Don't rush to pull away. When she hugs you, she's trusting you with a piece of her emotion, her vulnerability. Hold her like you know that, like you value that. A meaningful hug isn't about squeezing tighter. It's about being fully present. Rest your hand gently on her back or the nape of her neck. Let her feel safe. That subtle, respectful touch can send a message deeper than any sentence. I'm here. You matter. Don't talk. Feel. Words can sometimes ruin what silence is perfect for. Let her know through your energy that this moment is about her. Let your heart speak through the calmness of your body. If she's crying or silent or tired, hold her like a shelter. Not a rescuer, not a fixer, just someone who stays. And when you finally let go, do it slowly. Look her in the eye, smile, not out of obligation, but as if you're honored she chose you to hug in that moment. Because when you respond to a hug like this with attention, presence, and warmth, she won't forget it. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was rare. When someone hugs you, especially a woman who trusts you, it's not just a gesture, it's a moment of emotional honesty. In that split second when her arms wrap around you, she's not just greeting you or showing affection, she's letting you in. And your response in that moment can speak volumes. Being present during a hug means you don't treat it like a formality. You don't rush to end it. You don't pat her on the back just to signal that it's over. Instead, you treat it like it matters, because to her it does. To be present in a hug is to be fully engaged in that single moment. Your mind isn't elsewhere. You're not thinking about what to say next, where you're going after, or who's watching. You're right there in that stillness, fully aware that this connection is meaningful. People can feel when you're distracted. They can sense when you're just going through the motions. But they can also feel when you're locked in calm and truly there. And that feeling stays with them. Long after the hug ends, they'll remember how it felt to be fully seen and held in that moment. When you rush a hug, it's like telling the other person you're uncomfortable with closeness. It gives off the signal that vulnerability makes you uneasy, or that their need for connection is inconvenient. That small, thoughtless exit says something. Even if it says, this moment is over before it even began, but when you choose to linger, just luckily for me, because I want to welcome Alessandro Borenales into your Yoga Siddhyuk. Soften and your breath slow. You show something else entirely. You show that this hug is not just a routine, it's a response to her presence, her emotion, her being. Slowing down doesn't mean making it intense or romantic if it's not supposed to be. It simply means not rushing what was meant to be savored. It's the difference between checking a box and writing a poem. A few extra seconds of stillness, of simply being there, tells her that she's not just another person in your day. It says you matter. Right now, this kind of hug doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be long. It just needs to be intentional. When you hug her with a calm heart, with attention and warmth, you create safety, you create memory, and more than anything, you create trust. People remember how we make them feel, and a present, unhurried hug can etch itself into someone's mind for years, not because it was extravagant, but because it was rare. The truth is, in a world where everyone is moving fast, on their phones, in their heads, chasing the next, pausing for a hug and really being in it is powerful. It's disarming, it's grounding. So when you feel her arms around you, don't rush to pull away. Don't break the moment before it's fully lived. Hold her with the kind of stillness that tells her, even without words, that she's safe here, that this space between you is sacred, even if just for a breath. Offering gentle, respectful physical contact during a hug speaks volumes about your awareness, your character, and your emotional intelligence. It's not just about touch, it's about intention. The way you place your hand, the pressure you apply, and even the areas you choose to make contact with all tell a silent story. That story can either make someone feel safe and seen or tense and uncomfortable. When a woman hugs you, she's opening up a moment of closeness. How you handle that closeness matters more than most people realize. Gentle contact starts with your mindset. You're not claiming her. You're not asserting yourself. You're simply meeting her where she is. It's about responding rather than leading. A respectful hand on her upper back, resting softly rather than gripping, tells her that you're here to support, not to dominate. That subtle difference makes all the difference in how she experiences the hug. You're offering comfort, not control. If your hand lands near the nape of her neck or between her shoulders, let it rest lightly. That area is deeply personal, and handled with grace, it communicates care and understanding. Handled poorly, it can feel invasive. The goal is never to make her feel pinned or possessed, but gently acknowledged and emotionally held. Respectful contact also means reading her body language. Some women lean in fully, others offer a partial embrace. Some linger while others hug briefly. Pay attention. The way she initiates the hug is your cue for how to respond. If she's tentative, be soft. If she holds on a little longer, match her pace without taking over. A hug is a silent dance. Matching rhythms without stepping on her toes. Physical touch is powerful, and with power comes responsibility. The key is sensitivity. You're not trying to impress her with intensity. You're showing her that you're emotionally aware and physically grounded. Many people think strength is shown through force, but true strength, especially in intimate, emotional moments, is shown through restraint. It takes strength to stay gentle. It takes confidence to be calm. It takes self-restraint to understand that tenderness carries more emotional weight than firmness. A gentle touch that says, "I'm here, I see you, I respect you," will be remembered far longer than one that tries to make a loud statement. This is especially important in a world where too many people cross lines, even unknowingly. Being different in how you carry yourself and how you respect someone's space while still being fully present sets you apart. It leaves a lasting impression because it makes her feel emotionally safe. That kind of safety doesn't come from words alone. It comes from energy, intention, and the way you treat her physical presence with dignity. She may not remember the exact way your hand felt or how long the hug lasted, but she will remember how it made her feel. Did she feel respected? Did she feel emotionally seen? Did she feel honored in that simple, silent act of connection? If your answer is yes, then your gentle, respectful contact has done something extraordinary. It has created a moment that lingers in her heart. In a world full of noise, silence is one of the most underrated forms of communication. When you're in a moment of closeness with someone, especially during a hug, silence can be more powerful than anything you could ever say. Words often try to explain or fix, but silence allows space for emotion to exist exactly as it is. When you let silence speak louder than words during an embrace, you're offering something rare, presence without pressure. Too often people feel the need to fill the quiet. They talk nervously, make jokes, or say something just to break the stillness. But in doing that, they miss the opportunity to really connect. Silence isn't emptiness. It's full of emotion, energy, and unspoken understanding. During a hug, it's the silence that allows her to breathe out whatever she's been holding in. It tells her, "You don't need to explain, I'm just here." The silence creates room for trust. If she's coming to you in a hug, whether she's joyful, hurting, tired, or just in need of human connection, the last thing she needs is pressure to perform or respond. When you stay quiet, when you don't rush to label the moment or turn it into a conversation, you create emotional safety. You allow her to simply be, and that is one of the greatest gifts you can give. Letting silence speak means being attuned to her emotional rhythm. You don't need to ask what's wrong or try to solve something. You just listen without be more ears without speech, but with your heart. Your stillness, your calm presence says, "I'm not here to fix you, I'm just here with you." That kind of presence is comforting in a way words can't replicate. It allows her to feel deeply without judgment, without interruption, without expectation. It's in that quiet moment that she feels your sincerity. She senses that you're not trying to manipulate the moment into something more or make it about yourself. You're not using words to gain control or earn validation. You're offering your presence as enough. different. That's what makes silence powerful. It strips away the distractions and leaves only what's real. Sometimes what she remembers most about a hug isn't what you said, it's what you didn't say. It's the moment she rested her head against you and felt peace instead of pressure. It's the way your arms held her without needing explanation. It's the way you didn't rush to break the quiet because you understood that her emotions were speaking louder than words ever could. When two people share a silent hug, they create a sacred space between them. It's not about time, it's not about effort, it's about depth. The silence is where true connection happens, not forced, not planned, just real. So the next time you hold someone, resist the urge to speak. Let the silence be enough. Let your stillness say what words never could, because in that quiet space, something beautiful unfolds. Understanding without speaking, comfort without question, and love without conditions. But that's what she'll remember. That's what lasts. Being emotionally grounded during a hug means showing up with a calm, centered, presence that doesn't waver, doesn't overwhelm, and doesn't demand. It's being fully aware of your own emotions, your boundaries, and your intentions, while also being sensitive to hers. When you're grounded, you're not reacting impulsively. You're not hugging to get something. You're there because you're stable enough to hold space for someone else's emotions, whatever they may be. That kind of presence is rare, and it makes all the difference. A grounded person isn't shaken by silence, tears, or vulnerability. They aren't uncomfortable when things get quiet or when emotions rise. Instead, they breathe through it, they remain steady, offering the kind of emotional stability that says, "You're safe here." This calm energy allows the other person to relax. It invites them to lean in without fear of being judged, misunderstood, or pushed away. When you're grounded, your energy tells her that you can handle what she's feeling and that you're not going to disappear the moment things get uncomfortable. This doesn't mean you have to be stoic or emotionless. On the contrary, being emotionally grounded means you're in tune with your own feelings, but you're not ruled by them. You don't let nerves, insecurity, or desire to impress control your actions. You don't fidget or force things. You're not seeking validation through the hug. You're just there, steady and sincere. That level of self-awareness is powerful, and it gives her room to be authentic as well. When you're emotionally grounded, your touch is different. Your breath is calm, your heartbeat racing from anxiety or expectation. There's a quiet strength in you, one that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. She'll notice it not just in the way you hold her, but in the way you don't try to control the moment. You're not trying to make it last longer than it should. You're not trying to pull away too quickly either. You're simply responding to her presence in real time with balance and integrity. Grounded people don't need the moment to be perfect. They're not chasing some movie scene ideal of what a hug should look like. They're just present, real, and emotionally available. That authenticity makes her feel safe. It tells her that she can be herself too, messy, emotional, silent, joyful, or overwhelmed. And you won't flinch, you won't disappear, you won't make it about you. That's what emotional grounding does. It creates space for someone else to feel whatever they need to feel without pressure or expectation. In those few seconds of a hug, being grounded means being someone she can lean on, not just physically, but emotionally. It tells her that you're not trying to fix her or impress her, you're just being there with her. In a world full of people seeking attention, approval, or control, being grounded stands out. It's not dramatic, but it's unforgettable, because when someone feels your steady presence in a vulnerable moment, it's not just the hug they remember. It's the peace they felt while in your arms. When a woman hugs you, especially in a moment that feels tender or emotionally charged, she's not just offering you her arms. She's offering you her vulnerability. That vulnerability may be wrapped in silence, tears, tension, or even quiet joy, but no matter how it shows up, it's a sacred offering. To honor her vulnerability means you don't take it lightly. You recognize that she's giving you access to a side of her that not everyone gets to see, and you handle it with the care it deserves. Vulnerability isn't weakness. In fact, it takes incredible strength to let someone in, even just for a moment. When she leans into you, rests her head on your chest, or clings to you a little tighter than usual, She's lowering her guard. She is choosing to let herself be real in a world that often demands masks. That's not something to overlook or rush past. It's something to respect. You honor her vulnerability by being gentle, not just physically, but emotionally. You don't try to fix the moment. You don't tease or joke to lighten the mood. You don't try to make it about you. You simply stay. Staying means you remain emotionally present and attuned. If she's quiet, let her be quiet. If she's shaking or crying, let her release it. Your job isn't to make the moment tidy, it's to let it be true. When you respond to her vulnerability with steadiness instead of discomfort, with compassion, instead of awkwardness, you communicate something powerful. You're safe to feel here. Honoring her also means not rushing to interpret or assume. Maybe she's hugging you because she had a hard day. Maybe she doesn't have the words for what she's feeling, and the hug is her only way of saying, please, just hold me. You don't need a backstory to respond with love. You don't need to understand everything to respect what she's giving you. Vulnerability isn't always clear. What matters is that you recognize its presence and treat it like something valuable. Too many people respond to vulnerability with discomfort or detachment. They retreat, joke, stiffen, or change the subject. That reaction teaches others not to open up again. But when you respond differently, when you stay soft, steady, and kind, you create a memory she won't forget. She may not remember your exact words. She may not even remember how long the hug lasted, but she'll remember how safe she felt, how respected she felt, how seen she felt. This is especially true in a world where so many women are taught to protect themselves, to toughen up, to smile through pain. So when she chooses to be soft with you, don't take that lightly. It's not just affection, it's trust. And trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But when it's honored, it deepens, it grows, it strengthens the bond between you in ways that are invisible to the eye, but unforgettable to the heart. So when you hold her and you sense that she's letting her guard down, slow down, breathe with her, match her energy. Let her know through your presence that she's not too much, not a burden, not alone. She's simply human. And you see that humanity not as something to fix, but as something to hold. How you end a hug matters just as much as how you begin it, maybe even more. In that final moment when you're about to let go, you're not just moving your arms away, you're closing an emotional loop. Ending a hug slowly and intentionally sends a message that the connection mattered to you. It shows respect for her presence and the emotion shared. It's a way of saying, without using any words, I wasn't just here physically, I was here with you. Too often people treat the end of a hug as an afterthought. They pat the back, break away quickly, or shift awkwardly, like they're unsure what to do next. That kind of ending can feel abrupt, even dismissive. It can make her feel like the moment was rushed, or worse, like it didn't mean anything. But when you end a hug with care, you create a closing that feels whole and thoughtful. You give her the emotional equivalent of a gentle landing instead of a sudden drop. Ending a hug slowly doesn't mean dragging it out unnecessarily. It means being mindful. Let your arms loosen gradually, not all at once. Let the energy between you ease out instead of being cut off. There's a rhythm to it, and when you're tuned in, you'll feel it. That slowing down, even if it's just for a few seconds, creates space for the other person to register what just happened. It gives her time to feel appreciated, respected, and seen. Sometimes the most powerful part of a hug is the moment right before you part. It's in that quiet second when you look into her eyes or offer a small, sincere smile that says, I'm glad we shared that. That eye contact, that subtle pause can leave a deep emotional impression. It tells her the connection wasn't casual, it was intentional. This small act of ending the hug mindfully also gives her time to come back into herself. When someone hugs from a place of vulnerability, they open up emotionally. Letting go too fast can feel like slamming a door on that openness. But easing out of the embrace gently allows her to transition without feeling exposed or dropped. It shows emotional maturity and awareness. It tells her that you're not just thinking about your own comfort, you're thinking about hers too. Sometimes you might offer a simple gesture as you pull back, brushing a hand down her back, squeezing her hand gently, or placing your palm over her shoulder for a moment. None of these actions need to be romantic. They're about presence. They extend the emotional warmth of the hug into the moment that follows, making the experience feel fuller, more real. When you end a hug slowly and intentionally, you turn a simple act into a memory. It becomes something she'll carry with her, not just because of how you held her, but because of how you let her go. It's in that final moment that you show her. Embrace wasn't just something you gave, it was something you meant. And in a world full of rushed interactions and half-hearted gestures, that kind of care leaves a mark that lasts. So the next time she wraps her arms around you, don't treat it like a routine gesture. Treat it like a moment that matters. Be still, be present, be gentle. Let your silence speak, your touch reassure, and your presence ground the moment in trust. When you honor her vulnerability and end the hug with intention, you tell her without words, I see you, I respect you, and you're safe with me. Do it like that, and she won't just remember the hug, she'll remember you.